the food bank's new strategic plan. As you may know, the food bank spent much of 2022 engaged in a deep dive planning process that was led by our consultant, Michael Deepen. Michael conducted dozens of interviews and focus groups and planning sessions and did tons of research to help bring this new plan to life. Talking to the people who deliver and receive the products that flow through the food bank has always meant a great deal to us. These days, you might hear that referred to as centering voices of people with lived experience. But however it's referred to, we really did a lot of it in this planning process, as we always seek to do. Feedback from all of you, the people we serve, and the people that we serve, is at the core of deepening our impact, our new strategic plan. Our terrific planning partner, Michael Deepen, he took a lot of notes, and he reported some terrific conversations about what the last few years have looked like for your food bank, responding to the pandemic over the past year, responding to an increase in need due to inflation with limited food availability. The past few years have stretched us in many new and different ways. It feels like instead of being an inch wide and a mile deep, coming out of this pandemic, the food bank is a mile wide and an inch deep. We discovered when we really stepped back and considered our current position that we experienced as many as 10 years of traditional growth and innovation in just the 2.5 years that we have come through this pandemic. It dropped smack dab, the pandemic, into the crescendo, right into the apex of our Growing for Good capital campaign in 2020. And that project, our capital campaign, was already going to launch us into a ton of new and exciting work. Consequently, during the pandemic, we dual tracked the construction of the new food bank in Canton, the dividing of our crew from not just the Akron warehouse, but working in Canton, the hiring of new staff for that operation, the addition of new programs that were intended to be part of this capital campaign. We dual tracked all of that with 2 years of pandemic response, serving alongside of the National Guard, adding tons of pandemic-related response programs, delivery programs, and the labor challenges of the Great Resignation. We have just come through a lot as a network, as an organization, and as individuals. This strategic planning process caused us to step back and ask ourselves, what now? What do we do now in this place and time? And the response that we heard resounding from all of you was, take that growth of the Growing for Good campaign, of the pandemic, take your new staff members, take your new programs, finish your Akron building expansion, strengthen the foundation of your work, and deepen your impact in the place you're in today. And that's what we intend to do. Next slide, please. Our plan to deepen our impact is focusing upon 5 key areas: our neighbors, our communities, our investors, our food bankers, and our food bank. And today, we're going to give you a quick overview of some of the high-level strategies we seek to pursue in each of these areas. And at this time, I will hand it to Katie to take us into those focus areas. Katie.
Hello again, everyone. First, I'm going to discuss the Our Neighbors focus area. Our neighbors are the people that together all of us seek to help every single day. And that's why we exist, and that's what called us to this meeting. We come together in common purpose to lighten the burden of it for the people in our community that need us. They're the beating heart of everything that we all do, and we are striving for their health, their happiness, and their success. But you all know very well that each person that walks through your door has a unique set of circumstances. And so it's important for us to stay connected with them, to understand their needs better, and to try to address their needs in new and different ways, and ensure that we maintain dignity and respect for them all along the way. So a few of the items that we'll be focusing on to better serve our neighbors in collaboration with all of you. We want to build upon our neighbor engagement work. Many of you on the call participated in our Voices work, where we spent a lot of time listening intently to the people that we serve and soliciting their feedback and making sure that we're addressing that feedback along the way. So we want to continue and deepen that listening work. We also want to focus on evaluating and accommodating food needs related to nutrition needs and also culturally appropriate foods. We want to expand our partnerships, providing services beyond food. We all know that if people are coming in need of food assistance, they may be in need of additional support. And one of the great things about living in Northeast Ohio is that we have so many fantastic community resources, and we can work in collaboration better together to provide those needs. Some of that work is happening at our Stark County campus, and we'll seek to scale those efforts across the Hunger Relief Network in the years to come. And finally, we want to focus on our messaging and celebrating the resilience of the people that come through our programs and seek to reduce stigma. It's a really hard thing to walk into our programs. As wonderful and welcoming as you all are, it's a real challenge to have to ask somebody else for help. And so we want to focus on ways that we can make that a bit easier and improve their experience along the way. Next is our communities, and that involves a lot of work with you all. Your food bank, while we have a physical presence in Summit County and Stark County, is an 8-county service area. Many of you on the call are from a lot of those communities where we don't have a physical presence. And we want to ensure that whether you're in a rural or urban community, whether you have a lot of resources or maybe you're struggling to keep your programs open, that we're providing you a high quality experience. And so that's a challenge for us, but also a great opportunity to embrace the unique character of every community and ensure that we're meeting you where you are as well. A few areas where we'll be focusing to deepen our impact with you all and the broader community is to ensure that we continue having authentic, vibrant, and open two-way communications with each county in our service area. Many of you have participated in our listening sessions in the past, and we want to continue doing more of those and listen to you more intently, ensure that we're responding to your needs. We're also seeking to explore the creation of community advisory committees so that we can ensure that your voice and your perspective is present at the table as we're making decisions. We're going to explore the creation of a partner leadership academy. Something we've heard from many of our partners is about a difficulty in finding volunteers, conversations around succession planning, what that next generation of leadership in our Hunger Relief Network looks like. And so we want to be in partnership with you all to help cultivate that next generation. We were talking earlier on this call about the reduction in SNAP benefits that's coming soon. And so that highlights the importance of our advocacy efforts. We want to continue to work with you all and a broader group of stakeholders and other social service organizations to advocate for policies that best serve the people that we seek to help, and also ensure that the food bank and our Hunger Relief Network have the resources we need in the years to come to continue meeting the needs in the community. And so with that, I'm going to toss it over to Colleen to talk about our next focus area.
All right, so I'm going to talk about our investors. And every day, important investments are made at the food bank. Of course, in an operation like ours, donations of food and financial contributions literally fuel our operations, enabling us to provide millions of meals each year. Financial contributions also help us to purchase that critical equipment like forklifts, provide maintenance and fuel for our transportation fleet. And especially in times like these, in the past few years, when food donations are not flowing as freely, we do need to invest in purchasing additional food to meet the need for our neighbors and our communities. We've learned in the past few years that we just need to be responsive. And in order to provide what is needed, it really requires a partnership with our many investors. And we realize that making an investment at any level is a very personal decision. So whether it's a donation of thousands of pounds of food from a retailer, whether it's surplus harvest from a farmer, a donation from a company stock, or a planned gift in a will, every dollar donated, even at a lemonade stand or a can of beans from a cupboard, every single contribution is an investment. And investments come in the form of time and talent too. And every single day we see extraordinary generosity on display here at the food bank. We have individuals who come in each day, instead of finding a part-time job in their retirement, they come in and they spend their time with us. We have advocates who call legislators for us. We have people who get on social media and share about our food distributions. And so there's just so many ways that people show their commitment to the food bank. And it's just so important that that we don't ever take that for granted, that we recognize that every single one of those investments matters. And so there's 4 areas where we are looking to deepen our impact with these very critical partners. The first is just cultivating a deeper relationship with the companies who are donating those food products. Of course, since the beginning of food banking, it's been our food donors that really keep our business going. The flow of donated items has always provided an ample supply to our network. But in recent years, we've seen the supply chain issues really hitting, so many of our donors, and has challenged our overall reliance on those food streams. So while our donors continue to be committed to our mission, we just have to refocus on how we interact with those donors, how we partner with them, and how we further engage them and even their associates in the mission of the food bank. So we've created some new materials to educate and inform donors. We are engaging in stewardship strategies to just keep a close connection with those partners. And our fundraising team and our food sourcing team are now working hand in hand to make sure that we are just giving the time and energy to those really important relationships. So the next area is that we are going to strengthen our relationships with our financial supporters, of course. Financial support to the food bank was definitely strong throughout the pandemic. In 2020, we gained about 10,000 brand new financial donors, and we've been working hard to try to retain those donors, these investors who came to us during a time of crisis. And keeping those relationships really matters. We recognize that each relationship is unique. It's increasingly important that we create meaningful opportunities for our financial contributors. So it doesn't always have to be at a big event or on a large scale, but we want to be more focused on relationship-based connection points to continue moving our mission forward. So just recognizing that, again, that investment is a personal decision. And so we want to give those relationships the time and energy to be more frequent and just more intimate with the touch points with those investors. Then we want to celebrate and engage our army of volunteers. Last year, the food bank hosted 7,400 volunteers who gave about 55,000 hours of service. And so while those numbers, kind of went down during the pandemic as we were dealing with all of those and the National Guard was here, they have started to come back up. People are starting to show back up, and we have so many more opportunities for them, helping at on-site distributions and pop-ups, driving vehicles for us. There's just a lot more ways now to engage our volunteers. And something that we heard during the strategic planning process and the interviews from our volunteers is that they don't just want to feel connected with the food bank, they want to feel connected with each other. And so just recognizing the food bank can be a place for fellowship for people who are just like-minded in mission and wanting to help in the community. So that's something that we really paid attention to and plan to engage more. And then finally, growing our endowment to ensure our financial stability for the future. Again, a very important lesson of the pandemic is that, we've always had an endowment, but to have it built up in the past few years in a way that can support us in the future. We've been more intentional about our staff structure, our endowment policies, and the way that we're educating donors about how they can give long-term for the future of the food bank to help us build that lasting legacy and support the food bank in perpetuity. So big 4 core areas there, all focused on our investors, and just, again, recognizing that there's many different levels of engagement and that each one of them is very important. So I'll toss it back over to Dan.
Great.
To talk about our food bankers.
Well, thank you, Colleen. You talked about the food stream and investing in capacity for the collection, towards the collection of more donated and surplus products. That's a point I think is probably really relevant to all of you, as I think you probably witnessed in real time the challenges that we experienced in finding donated products and, across the entire supply chain last year. I think there were times where our menu got down to 2 pages, where the purchase program carried that menu a lot of the times. And I want to let you know that that was a very, very serious topic of conversation for us at the food bank. It's in terms of strategy and getting things, back online. And I think a lot of the strategies that Colleen mentioned were certainly born into what is kind of a shift in the way that the paradigm that food banks have operated under. Food banks started in the late 60s as food manufacturing became industrialized, and there was the availability of centralized food surpluses across the country. Food banks started in donated sections of local warehouses with small groups. Some, most had no staff, 1 staff member when they started back in the 60s and 70s. Our food bank was started in 1982. And when the food bank started, James Smucker was already here. So many of the big companies that are local donors to our food bank were already here, and they had capacity for making surplus donations that far exceeded what the Akron area food bank in 1982 could have ever imagined that they'd be able to accept. The same thing is true with food banks across the country. And as food bank capacity has grown out, the surplus capacity of the manufacturing sector has greatly outpaced that and outstripped that considerably up until this past year. This was the first time in my career, 25 years as a food banker, you really had to get out and work to find donated food. We've been very fortunate that we've got a lot of donors who call us when they have products available, and just the steady stream, we may nurture, but we certainly haven't had to be as aggressive in trying to find food, and not just us, but food banks around the country, as we have to be now. Colleen mentioned advocacy, the importance of state products and federal products, USDA, and those state products. Those are, free, great quality products from the state. Most of our produce comes from the state. And all of these things we have to really, really double down on to make sure that those products are available to you. You probably noticed that we had a pretty good rally near the end of the year. I was looking at our inventory sheet. We came into 2023 with almost twice as much food as we started 2022 with. I saw that our menu got back up to 5 pages. And so we're excited to see that. That is, to me, an indication of 2 things. One, our new investment in really trying to get out and work with food donors is beginning to bear fruit. We got a lot of nice loads from contacts that, maybe because of personnel changes or whatever, we hadn't been able to maintain. So getting those relationships online, being focused in our food recruitment. Secondly, the USDA and state have started to be able to get some of their food streams open back up. We've gotten more USDA products here recently. I'm sure you've seen that. And I hope that continues throughout the year this year. So, always good, I think, when we're with an agency group to talk a little bit about the food and what's happening with the food and what our intentions are for making sure that we're able to provide you with our core resource. I want to talk a little bit about food bankers. I see the thumbs up. Thank you for that. As I think you all know, the pandemic really strained, of course, society overall, and it put a ton of pressure on the labor force. For us, transferring staff members that had worked for many years in Akron to our new Canton facility, and there's a great picture, isn't that just an awesome picture on the screen there, of our wonderful staff, so diverse, so talented. I love the crew that we've been able to put together there in Canton. Many of those staff members in that picture worked in Akron before they transferred to Canton. And there was a real change for us to come into the office and have our longtime coworkers, now working from a different building. And so that itself was a cultural shift. And then we had many new positions that we created in order to fully staff that building. And that was a major shift, I think, for all of us. At the same time, our food bank wasn't spared the hardships of the Great Resignation, and we experienced more turnover in the last year than we've experienced in any year ever. So we have a lot of new people and processes as a result of having 2 buildings now that we need to really focus on developing. We simply cannot have a best-in-class organization without best-in-class people. And we take that very, very seriously here. And so in our strategic plan, we're going to be focusing on improving staff connection and connectedness and wellness by crystallizing a culture that drives engagement and joy in this work. Investing in food bankers through professional development opportunities when they arise, promoting career and personal development through intentional mentorship programs, honing our recruitment strategies and improving messaging to our employees regarding the distinct value proposition of working here, and continuing to build a staff that reflects the community it serves. Diversity is such an important value at the food bank, and we're doing everything that we can to make sure that representation is not just woven into the composition of our staff, but in the way that we think about our work, in the way that we gain insights and information about the way that we need to approach our work. It's simply too important for us to leave any vantage points behind. And that's certainly an important aspect of our work with our employees. And finally, our food bank. You can see a great picture of the Canton building there and our Akron facility. That was taken a number of years ago before the South to South race. Some of you were at the beam signing for the expansion that we're building. And if you follow my LinkedIn, you can see videos that I'm going to continue to post about that project as we progress. It is a new distribution center now that all of you will be picking up your products at when you come to Akron. And I think it's going to be a lovely addition that's going to make coming here so much easier. It's going to double our cooler and freezer capacity and really drive value that hopefully you experience in the time that you're here. Now, one lesson we learned during the pandemic was that having resources in place when disasters strike is key to our ability to respond to those disasters. So we have to look at our infrastructure. To do so, we intend to complete the expansion of our project here at the main campus, which is going to be a major undertaking for us in 2023. We have our staff parking at the zoo and down at the Animal Control Center. We're running shuttles every day of staff and volunteer people, resources and people here into the food bank every day. We're going to have to move products around and arrange for different storage while we're undertaking this project. So it's going to be a major focus of a lot of staff bandwidth this year. And one thing is really true. You don't just build a building and then have everything work out smooth. You've got to really concentrate on implementation and execution. So we're going to be spending a lot of time making sure that we get not just the Akron expansion online and operationalized properly, but we continue to refine our processes between Canton and Akron. I think we've come a long way. I said to the team the other day that I heard an analogy that a smart architect will design a campus but not put the sidewalks in until students have walked enough to form trails in the grass. And that kind of tells the architect where the sidewalk should be according to what is the most natural movements of the people that attend the school. I think that analogy kind of sticks with us. I think we're starting to figure out where the grass is worn and where the natural patterns are for movement. Where some of the sticking problems have been in Canton and the operationalizing that facility. I think we've been able to slowly start greasing the wheels a little bit to smooth that operation. It's really actually running very well. But it's a good lesson that you don't just build a building and forget about it. You always have to be making sure that we tweak it. I know we're not done with that. So we're going to focus on that. We're going to develop a long-term comprehensive environmental sustainability plan. I've said for years that the food bank recycles grocery industry surpluses into opportunities for a better community. Recycling and rescuing food is at the core of the food bank's value proposition and operational paradigm. It always has been. But we have not taken sustainability as a whole and woven it into our operation from the front door to the back. And we're going to be working on that as a part of the strategic plan as a major emphasis. We're going to be working to enhance our IT infrastructure. One of the things I'm most excited about that are happening at the food bank right now is IT. We've got a great new IT manager that's got a ton of ideas. He's a relative, actually, of the gentleman from the Mid-Ohio Food Bank that developed Pantry Track to begin with. And so we've got somebody here of great expertise. His name is Todd Mullenkoff. His brother is Mark Mullenkoff, and Mark was the designer of Pantry Track. Todd joined our our team in September, and he's already brought all kinds of really innovative, useful, and scalable IT projects to the table. We're going to be investing in those and hopefully offering some of those opportunities to all of you as we move forward. Finally, we're going to update and review our disaster response plan. That was a major initiative of our last strategic plan in 2015. We had our disaster plan on our desk throughout the pandemic. I did. It's right here in my drawer. I looked at it all the time. It had a lot of great stuff in it. There was also a lot of things that we had to do that we hadn't foreseen. And so we're going to revisit our disaster plan. That's kind of an overview of these areas. One of the things I want to acknowledge with all of you is that most of you have boards that you either report to or maybe your boss reports to that are associated with the church your agency works out of. And you're probably all engaged in conversations of your own about what the future is going to look like. It's almost as if we were painting a painting in 2019 of our own design with our own vision for the painting in mind. And then 2020 came along and somebody threw a bucket of paint on half of it. And we have to step back now and say, what did this add that we didn't envision to our painting? What do we want to keep? What do we want to try to paint over and retain from our original vision? And how do we complete something now that our intention has been permanently altered? And I think this plan that you heard about today is our reflection of those thoughts. Now, you probably have a lot of similar things going on in your organizations. And if so, I hope our presentation today has maybe at least crystallized one vantage point, the food bank's vantage point on how to approach some of these challenges, the things that we're going to do. We've already developed a one-year operating plan associated with the Deepening Our Impact strategic plan we just unpackaged. We believe that the plan has us headed in the right direction, and we're excited to build upon the great work that's already been done and deepen our work in the many programmatic areas we discovered during the pandemic. We hope we showed you a plan today that tracks with the feedback that you have provided to Michael Devlin and the food bank. We hope it tracks with your instincts about where we should be headed. We hope it's clear, straightforward, simple enough to make sense, but deep enough to get us where we need to be. We intend to roll this plan out publicly at our Harvest for Hunger kickoff breakfast coming up. And when is it?
February 28th.
February 28th, and we'd love to have you all there on February 28th. And we're going to have a great program at the John S. Knight Center, and this is going to be on the center of the plate. We'd love to give your take on what we showed you today. Your impressions overall, any advice you might have to support the rollout of the plan. So I think at this time, I'm going to hand it to you, Katie, to facilitate our Q&A and anything that you have for Colleen, Katie, or me. We want to open it up, and I think what we'll do is if you want to just raise your hand in the chat using Teams. Can you see from there and call people?
Yep, so either raise your hand, or if you want to put your question in the chat as well, we can read a question or comment from the chat too.
So questions or comments? The floor is open.
Give you a minute to unmute yourself.
So are there basic thumbs up? I mean, how do you feel? I'm trying to get a reaction here.
Good morning, it's Crystal Hickman from Wyndham Bible Church.
Crystal.
First of all, I just want to once again say thank you to the entire team at the food bank. You are always so good at thanking us and being appreciative of what we do. So it's important that we're thankful for you and appreciative of all your work also. I'm always interested to hear your strategic plan. I'm always excited after I've listened to it. It's inspiring to me as an agency. So thank you for all the hard work that goes into your strategic plan. And remember that if there's anything I can do on my end to help fulfill that strategic plan, just always reach out. I'm here. I'm excited. Our program's doing well this year, and I'm looking forward to a great year with our students at Wyndham Schools. One of the things you talked about earlier before we officially started was the PEBT cards, SNAP benefits being reduced next month. We are trying to plan ahead for that as working in the school. So what we do now is we have a pantry for our students, but we are planning on holding a day where our parents can come in and shop in the pantry to try and help make up for that reduction in benefits. Hopefully they'll find some things in our pantry that their children would like to eat, and hopefully it'll help them out. So we're trying to be a little proactive with that. So I just wanted to put that out there. But again, thank you for your partnership. We couldn't do this without you. So have a great day, everyone.
Thank you so much, Crystal.
That means the world to us, Crystal. Thank you, ma'am.
A few comments in the chat. We have from Michelle Smith. She said, sounds like a great plan, and I'm excited about ways I can become more involved. So thank you, Michelle. And from Mark Millia, thank you, Dan, and your staff. I always talk highly of the food bank and look forward to the future. Thank you so much, Mark. From Richard Frazier, thank you, Dan, Katie, and the entire team for always looking forward and not looking back. As a partner, I truly appreciate knowing that we are not in this fight alone. Looking forward to seeing what these next 3 years will bring. God bless you.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you. And Julie, as being a part of the Original Voices program, I'm excited to hear you're looking to make a new model. Thank you, Julie. And there were a few questions there as well. From Jeff Franks, he asked, is there an opportunity to develop online payments from partners to accounts? Jeff, yes, there is. So I'll have Linda or somebody from the team follow up with you, because we are able to take online payments right now, so we can help you with that. And then from Joe Zucker, will there be a new schedule for facility inspections or any other new guidelines for 2023? In terms of the site visits that we do with you all, not much will change, but we are in the process of updating our partner agreements due to a new contract with Feeding America. So as all of you are probably aware, our food bank is part of the Feeding America National Network, and we have a contract with Feeding America that helps provide guidance and advice as it relates to a lot of compliance components. And so that's something we'll be rolling out soon. We're also going to host a roundtable for you all in early March, I believe, to go over some of those changes. So nothing that is overly burdensome, but there are a few new things depending on the type of program you operate, and we'll have more details on that one for you soon. I think, Gary Wyatt, did I see your hand up?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I just wanted to say, Dan, and to the team, man, how wonderful you guys been over the years. I've been involved since 2007. I had even got a grant and built a garage so I can house food. And that was in 2007 against the odds when the housing market failed. They said that we wouldn't make it, but yet they invested in us, not knowing that in 2020, when the pandemic hit, we would be major. You know, we never shut down. One thing about it, Dan, y'all weathered the storm through the pandemic. And it reminds me of a scriptures that says in Proverbs that he that had pity upon the poor, God will repay you. It's not necessary everybody is in poor that needs food, but when you give to the poor, he'll repay you. And I think every time y'all went through something, God always sent somebody to step up to the plate. And I'm reminded of Mother Teresa before she passed away. They recorded her, and it reminded me of you, Dan. Just help me help somebody. I just wanted to say that to the staff. I'm retired now from the post office and the military, and the highlight of my ministry is the food pantry. I mean, I live to help people. And I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be a partner and be involved in helping people. And God bless y'all as we continue to feed people and help people in all areas.
Here, you are a blessing every day. You know, while you're talking, I'm thinking about the words from the hymn, Morning by Morning, New Mercies I See, and your comments and Crystal's comments. And the presence of the group that we had today is a mercy for me and a blessing, and you're a blessing. So thank you, Gary.
And we have a comment for you, Gary, in the chat. Preach it, Gary. That's from our pal Julie at Open Ed. So thank you for that.
Right on.
We have another comment here from Joe. God bless the work of your team as we work together to help keep our communities fed. Thank you, Joe, and God bless you as well. Another question from someone, is there potential for an app that partners can use to take orders from families to prepare boxes ahead of our drive-through or pickup times. Yes, there is another exciting development. So we are one of a few food banks in the country that are piloting a system with Feeding America called Order Ahead. This is one of the great things about the food bank operating our own programmatic work. We can test new concepts and see if they work. And if they do work, we can scale them up to our whole hunger relief network. And if they don't work, then we cannot scale them to you, and we can have gone through, figuring it out. So with this Order Ahead platform this year, we're doing a pilot to expand that to a few partners in the network as well, so that we can see how that works. And again, scale that up to eventually make that available to all of you that are interested in it. So we can share some more information with you offline, Jeff, about that. And you're also welcome to come down to the Stark County campus and check out how it works as well. We'd love to host you and show you a bit more about that exciting platform. Other questions or comments? Again, you're welcome to use the comment or chat box, or raise your hand or unmute yourself if you have any other questions, comments, reflections.
Give them some time.
Oh, Greg Walker, I see your hand up.
Yes, yes, I do. You know, as I'm listening to the roundtable here, the word wisdom keeps coming into my spirit, and how during times of famine, all throughout history, God has always given wisdom to those who had a heart to follow his heart. Of course, Joseph, we know what God did to keep many people alive through him, and Solomon's cry for wisdom when the temple was finished. And we have the same access to our God that they had. And we pray for Dan and your staff there, that God will continually give a wisdom that is not of this age or of this world to you, that you would know how to guide and steer this community of relief that God is so for. The brother, I believe he quoted the verse, "He who gives to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will repay him." I just believe all that as I'm listening this morning. I'm very excited for what God is going to do. The earth is shaking quite a bit right now, but God is doing, he's alive and well and on the throne, and he's not nervous about anything. So we'll be continuing to pray for you guys as well, and all the other parts.
Received your prayers this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it. There's a couple more comments here in the chat box. One, you guys are great, always helpful in trying to help partners and neighbors. Thank you so much, Jeff. And again, we're always here to help you, so don't hesitate to reach out to us. A question from Bob: any updates to Fresh Track coming? Ability for program participants to pre-register for emergency pantry distribution? Yes, there are. More exciting news. So we are currently working within the Fresh Track system to set up the possibility of neighbors making their own appointments to pre-register. So Nate has been working with our friends at United Way of Summit and Medina counties to pilot that with a few partners that are on this call, actually, and something that we hope to be able to scale up and offer on a broader scale in the next few months, probably by the middle of this year. And we're also looking into, again, and kind of our using of the Stark County campus to test new concepts. The developers, Dan mentioned earlier, Mark Mollenkoff, he is now an employee of Feeding America, and they're developing a new intake system nationwide. And so it works similarly to Fresh Track, but it's something we're going to begin testing. And eventually, in the next few years, so don't be afraid, in the next few years, there may be a new intake system that resolves a lot of the issues that you all regularly call us about and experience in Pantry Track. So that's something coming a bit down the way. I saw a heart for that one. So yeah, we're excited for it too. So again, in the exploratory stages of that here and starting to test it and see how it works, that is coming soon. And so Bob, we'll make sure that you get the information about that pre-registration option when it goes live.
You know, maybe we can have a town hall about IT specifically.
Yeah.
You know, Todd is an extraordinary developer, and most of the work that he's doing on the IT projects are 4 software solutions that are going to be scalable to you, that are going to relate to Pantry Track, to client intake, to ordering, and to, he's really working on that. And he's also working on a number of real-time data display modules so that you can look at what's happening at your pantry, the pantry down the road, and the network overall, and see how many people have been in to get food that day. And that we can see trends and have it on maps like now on our website, linked to your websites. There's a lot of stuff that we've got going in the pipeline right now that is beyond anything that I'd ever dreamed of, because we ended up finding this Todd, who's an extraordinary, he just fell in our lap as a blessing, to your point earlier, Gary. And he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. And so why don't we think about doing that? If there's interest to jump on and talk about the future of IT as it relates to your work, we'll put a session together.
Yeah, we're getting some great comments about wanting an IT town hall.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Be sure to work with Dayton and Linda and the team to set that up for you all later this year. I'll open it up one last time to any questions or comments. I'll pause for a second because I know sometimes it takes a minute to unmute or to type that comment in there.
Hi, it's Crystal again.
Hi.
I forgot. I wanted to give a huge shout out to our delivery driver, Nathan. So your delivery pilot program came to us at the perfect time. To be very honest, our program probably would have folded. And I believe that was all in God's hands that your program came to us when it did. And then we were able to extend it by paying for that service. And we had a donor who stepped up and she's covered our delivery fees for this year. But Nathan is absolutely the best. I love seeing him when he comes in here. He shares with me about his family and I share about my family. And we just couldn't ask for a better delivery guy. So a big shout out to Nathan.
Thank you, Crystal. I'll be sure to share that with him. We love him here too, and so I'm glad that you all get to experience him regularly. If any of you are interested in that delivery program, David Frugero, that's on the call here, handles that on our team. So please reach out to David if you want to learn more about that. And thank you, Crystal, for those comments. We have just a couple more comments here. From the Boys and Girls Club of Massillon, we just want to thank you for everything you do. Thanks to the food bank, we have so many children who have food to take home with them and have a dinner every night at the club. Thank you so much and God bless. And thank you, Danielle, for everything that you do too. We're grateful for you. So with that, we're about at time. So Dan, I'll let you close it out.
Thank you, Katie. So, I moved after the kind of conversation, the quality of conversation that we've had today. Just to share, I had a mentor when I first started in food bank, and his name is John Arnold, and he ran the food bank over in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And he put together what he called an anthology of words of faith on charity. And he sat down, he read the Bible, and he quoted every scripture out of it that talked about charitable practice. And then he read the Quran, did the same thing. And he read the Book of Mormon, and he did the same thing. And then he read, I think it's 7 or 8, the Bhagavad Gita. There was 7 or 8 words of faith on charity anthologies that he put together. And then he started having interfaith services with his agencies. And he said, doesn't matter what your faith background is, every single one of these agencies that has a faith base is welcome to the table. And we'll study the words of faith on charity from these different books. One thing that has always meant the world to me is the faith-based, background of our charitable network. Now, not every agency is faith-based, and that's just fine, but a lot of them are. And the extent to which now the food bank is able to lean into that and provide a place where the agencies that we do work with that are of different faiths, would like to come together and have conversations about some of the common entities, across religions. I think it can build bridges of understanding amongst us. It can strengthen and our resolve in the work that we do, our purpose in the anchoring and meeting. So, that's something that, perhaps I'll give some thought to tossing something out if there's anyone that's interested in participating in that. That is in no way to ever elevate the value of one approach to this work above another, but it's to embrace the existence of the faith-based community in this network. So, I think, on that note, I want to thank you all for joining us. We want to tell you that if no one's told you that they love you today, the Akron-Canton Regional Food Bank loves you. We hope you have a day of meaning under the sunshine here in beautiful Northeast Ohio. There hasn't been a winter that hasn't turned into spring yet. Our best days are yet to come. Much love to all of you. Have a great, great rest of your day. Thank you.
Bye.